Okay, let's speak about you specifically. What has been the biggest artist, or which have been the bands that influenced you the most?
When I was a little kid, my dad and my older brother would always play Kiss, and they'd always play AC/DC. So I really kind of got like my rock roots from that. And then when I started like kind of finding music on my own, it was Typo Negative and Danzig, Rammstein, Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
I think those are the bands that I think probably influenced me the most because that was when I really started finding my own love for music, was when those bands kind of, when I found those bands.
Also on the songwriting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, so I think people can hear those influences come out. I mean, I'm also a big Elvis fan, and I also listen to Sinatra. I also listen to all kinds of things, really. And I think everything kind of finds
Elvis and Sinatra just for vocals, or your interpretation?
I just like the whole musical style back then. I mean, Sinatra, Gene Martin, Ella Fitzgerald, like, I listen to that stuff all the time. A lot, actually. And I think it's just very classic music. That stands the test of time. It still sounds good today.
Among genres.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the vocals are amazing. You know, they're so effortless and natural and distinct. You know, you can hear it. You know it when you hear it.
So you're trying to bring these influences to your music.
I think it naturally kind of comes out. You know, I think when you like something a lot, and when you're making songs, everything finds its way into the music. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the internet scene. What's your opinion about sharing downloads, MySpace, and the stuff that's going around this problem?
Well, it's so much. MySpace for us has always been really good because touring is very expensive. It's not easy to go out on tour, you know, if you don't have the money to kind of go out. I mean, you can't. There's a way to do it, you know, like you can sleep on people's floors and kind of do that, and that's a way to do it. But without really letting people know that you exist, you're playing shows for one person, two person, whoever's in the bar. You're playing. So MySpace was really a way for us to kind of go on tour from my computer, because I was able to find people all over the world and be like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
And it was almost the equivalent of me playing a gig. You know, because some people, like when you play a gig, some people are there, and some of them will watch you, some of them won't. And then out of the ones that watch you, maybe half will like you and half, you know. So it's kind of the same thing. You kind of put it out there, and half will listen to you, half won't. Out of half of those, half will like you, half won't. Maybe.
Okay. So this is the good part.
Yeah, that's
the bad part.
Yeah, well, the bad. I mean, illegal downloading, I think it's a bad thing. I mean, I think people will always try to rationalize why they do it, like, oh, you know, big bad record companies or whoever you want to blame, and so therefore it's okay. But I think, I mean, on a micro level, I think it's still a moral issue. You know, I think it's wrong. You're stealing. You know, if you're taking something that's meant to be sold and you're taking it, it's no different than taking a pair of shoes or a shirt from a store. It's just convenient. You know, nobody knows you can do it, and it's like, boop, done. And so it's so convenient that it's like, people don't really think of it as being bad.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, you know, there have been some good things that have happened because of it. Because, you know, one problem people had was they were buying CDs with like one good song on it, and they would get it and they would hate the rest of the record. So I think in some ways it's good because it's forcing bands to put out better music, put out better albums and stuff. But then you have stuff like iTunes, you know, and you can buy one song from iTunes. So since that problem is solved and people can kind of just buy the songs they want, I still think illegal downloading is still a problem because, you know, it's eventually it's hurting bands. Like huge bands that are already famous, probably not that much.
Not young bands.
But young bands who are starting out, who are trying to find support from like a record label, the record label doesn't make money, the band gets dropped, you know, and so we go back to being a local band, you know, or, you know, the record companies used to making a certain amount of money, and if they don't make that money, like they used to kind of leave the band's merchandise and touring alone. Now they're taking everything, you know. So whereas before, you could have a band that was kind of not too popular, but kind of just maybe have moderate success and they could live and survive.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like you're either huge or you can barely make enough money to get by, and you have to kind of stop. And you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I got to go put food on the table. You know what I mean? So I don't know. There's been some good effects, but I think overall, downloading that's illegal is still a problem, a big problem. And I hope people start to value music a little bit more like they used to, and be willing to pay for what somebody else put in their heart and soul. You know?
Okay, let's remind our viewers your next steps. So the record will be out in February, and then
Yeah,
touring?
I think February 1st, I believe, in Italy, and then we'll be on tour with Lacuna Coil. So in February. Actually, I think the dates in Italy are in March, early March. Yeah.
Okay, so we are waiting you on the stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I
And see
appreciate
you
it.
next time.
All right. See you guys.
Bye bye.